Welcome everybody to the Kim Barrett Show.
So control is to the degree like, hey guys, if you don't want your kids eating chocolate and candy, remove it from the environment.
Yeah.
If I don't want my kids cutting themselves with knives, maybe remove the knives from the environment. It's about saying, I want success in the environment. I don't want mistakes and accidents, right? So statistics with a sales team, with your accountant, with your legal team, my accountant should be lowering my taxes every year.
Yeah.
Not just billing me every year.
Yeah.
Exactly. What are you doing for me? Where's the stat here?
Exactly. Where's the value there?
Yeah.
And I think that's that control and then ownership of that, right? Because it's like, well, if you can't, how can you do that if you don't take ownership? And you go, well, I can't control what they do. I just take it away from them.
I tell people all the time, and you know, my background's with Tony, so we believe that success in anything is 20% the mechanics, and you can do language patterns all day and all this stuff, but it's 80% mindset, psychology, and hunger and drive. So when that's an organization, that's the culture, it shifts things.
The biggest one, if you take one thing away from this, post less, engage more. That's like ultimate.
What does that mean?
So people will come to me all the time and they'll say, Brooke, I'm not growing. And I'll say, all right, well, talk me through what you're doing. And they say, well, I post every single day and it doesn't seem to make a difference. And I say, okay, well, how much time you spend engaging on the platform? So liking comments, responding to DMs, following new accounts, engaging with accounts that use new hashtags or different hashtags. And they say, oh, I don't really have enough time for that. I'm like, well, these are the new rules of Instagram. When Instagram first came out, to grow your account, you could just smash out content. That's what people wanted. They wanted content. But now they want more authentic connection to the brand. They want engagement. They want to know that if I send you a DM, you're going to respond to my DM. So if you can switch, obviously creating content is still extremely important and always will be, but you need to put just as much time into engaging on the platform as you do to pumping out content.
So if someone was thinking about like something in B2B and they're like, cool, I want to cut through, I want to be able to reach some of those bigger companies and bigger deals, what's the couple of recommendations that you would give them and go, cool, here's what number one, you need to think about, and here's number two, what platforms you need to think about as well?
Yeah, perfect. So that's a great question there, by the way. The thing I think about most, and I think this goes across everything that you do, right, is a lot of people kind of hide behind the screen and they just think, it's a numbers game. But you've got to understand that behind all the numbers are actual people. So when people are like, oh, B2B and B2C, it's actually not. It's H to H, human to human marketing. And I'm a big believer in that. So one of the things that we do to stand out is just highlight that we are human, that we're not just going in there to try and pitch people. Like, obviously we do want to get something out of it, because if there's no value, let's not waste both our time. But at the same time, there's got to be, if there is a fit in there, there's got to be a value exchange on both sides. So I think that's one of the big things to understand, that it's not about you, it's about what you can help people with, and it's about connecting on a human level.
Have you found people going more extreme because they're like, hopefully the guys will take a picture of my message now? Because I saw some of the ones, I think it was like some Mother's Day or one of the ones, and I was like, some of these I was like I cannot imagine my mum sending something like this to me. Like, do people do they amplify what they say now based on you guys sharing stuff as well?
Yeah, look, 100%. Like, I have people sending us messages that they've sent their friend saying, is this going to make it to your stories? And then I'll honestly reply to them going, nah, it's not funny enough. Or yeah, I'll post it. And they want to share it with their friends. So we have a lot of content that's shared amongst. You can have a look at all the analytics, and people love sharing content, but they want to know that they were funny enough to make it to Dessert Box's page. So I think we've, like, when you were saying about Mother's Day, just for your listeners, we've had messages like, look, as a WOG, I'm like, I could never send this to my mum. This must be a white person thing. I would get disowned. But one of the messages was, Happy Mother's Day, thanks for not swallowing me.
I do want to ask about, you mentioned LinkedIn and LinkedIn ads, because it's been one that I've always been curious about. And obviously, compared to most, this has been my experience, it seems to be real expensive. Like the cost per click and all that sort of stuff is right up there. How do you find it for your clients? And how do you actually, can you make it work? And is it very, like, do you have to have a very specific niche to do it? Or what's been in your experience? Tell me a little bit, because I'm personally curious, because I've never been able to make it work 100% for me.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. Where you can get CPCs in Facebook that are maybe $1, let's say, that same product, that same messaging in LinkedIn probably will cost you $10 per click. So it can be up to 10 times more. So what I always recommend to go into LinkedIn is you need a plan. You need a plan because this is going to be an expensive endeavor. So let's make sure that your target audience is actually very researched.
You work with some pretty cool people. What's the coolest person that you've worked with so far and that you've been able to get? And then what's some of the results that you've been able to spin up with all the different strategies that you use?
Well, the coolest one, if I can name drop here, we flew out to New York and spent a day with Damon John's team from Shark Tank.
Yeah.
That was exciting. I've worked with Steven Larson, Alex Sharfin, Christy Code Red. She's been with me. We've done 4 seasons, or we're doing her 4th season right away of her YouTube content. And she is someone that she's so amazing because you tell her what to do, she just does it. Like, she's very committed as an entrepreneur. And her channel has grown to the place where now she gets over 10,000 unique viewers on her channel every single month. Like, imagine having 10,000 new people find you every single month.
I know that, I'm sure that you're the same. I don't scroll. I don't do the scrolling on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, I do my work, and I'm out of there, right? I go on Facebook, I add value, I find places where I can add value, comment, post, help someone, give a free tip, and then I'm out of there. I'm not there to check what other people are doing. And those are the people that want to have the engagement, but they're not willing to take the steps, right?
Yeah, 100%. And look, I will put my hands up. I do scroll because I look for ads. So I'm only there to look for ads. All right, I'm not. That's why I'm there for.
I do believe that right now, like today, and for the coming certainly at least weeks, potentially with people working from home, they are actually overworking themselves. So some of those things that you're talking about are actually the most important right now. Maybe not 4 months ago they were not as important, but it is key. And I don't necessarily know that we've done anything different, but we have really paid attention to that, as in at the executive level. Like, we've had conversations around, like, do we want to just, much actually like a couple other companies, Google's done this as well, but do we want to give people a couple extra days off, even though we know they're probably going to do work on those days because they're in their homes or apartments?
Our list is curated. So instead of like a Woolworths or a Coles and they've got like 20, 30,000 SKUs of wine, we'll have 200 at any one time, which means it's super focused, which means the volume that we actually sell is huge compared to everyone else. So even against the big guys, we sell a lot of wine because we're so focused in the premium, super premium end of the market. So that helps. When we go to a producer, instead of saying, oh, we'll take 5 cases or 20 cases, which most stores or other players would do of a particular wine, we can buy it all generally. We can go in and go, what have you got left? We'll take it all.
Hey, if you're going to do paid advertising, maybe you should speak to me, just like you guys should as well.
But in the space of luxury watches, and just purely for my own curiosity, because I'm like, as soon as I got the email about having you on the podcast, I was like, I've got to ask this guy. I was like, I wonder if there's a way for me to be able to get a luxury watch without technically transacting cash for one in some way, shape, or form in the world.
Of course. I mean, the only scenario in which that's really, not possible is if the dealer himself isn't not a real dealer, but if they're all memo watches, they don't actually take inventory, which a lot of our competitors don't. It's a very cash intensive business. They don't actually have the money to lay out for watches. But no, if you actually, own the watches and you own your inventory like we do, usually in those scenarios, the biggest snag for me is when, and obviously, like you can imagine, we get these pitches all the time. Hey, give me a free watch. It's just instead of asking, just tell me why that's a good decision. That's it. And I hear so many, I'm an influencer, I have 50,000 followers. Great. I don't give a fuck how many followers you have. Just tell me what you're going to do.
So the easiest way to connect with someone is to find something that you both can mutually agree on. So for example, if I hate, let's say I'm a vegan. I'm not a fucking vegan, but if I was a vegan and you were a vegan, I posted a meme about vegan, or I even wrote a post saying, oh, I'm a vegan, I love being a vegan. You're going to love me too, because we both have something in common. So now I could reach out to you and I could ask you for a favor. I could ask you to do promo for me. And we just have that kind of affinity there.
Tell them about the Kim Barrett Show and flip that around so that they can find out more about how they could start getting online. Because, it's something that, even though we have a full digital agency now, which is technically physical, we have offices and all that sort of stuff. We started out, I'm back to square one, being sitting in the spare room of my house, working on stuff because of what's going on in the world anyway. So it's everyone starts out there. And I think it's a good place for everyone to start.